Welcome, Amalgamaniacs. This is the maiden voyage of Amalga Review. I know what you're thinking. We love Amalga Reviews. They tell us about stuff that we're interested in, and it gives us pointers on whether we should watch or read stuff. Well, that hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed is I brought the muscle, Shelby Croto, with me, and we're going to be giving you knowledge, facts, frequently asked questions, and opening up the floor to hear from you guys. Because what's a review without the voice of the masses? I mean, it's kind of not really the point to just telling everybody what we think. We want to know what you guys think. So we're going to give you the same Amalga review that you always have loved and tuned in for, except now it is being brought to you by video, and you can see us on YouTube, and you can catch us in the greatest Facebook group of all times, Amalgamania. So welcome to your first Amalga review. It's the boy wonderful Ian Wallace, my co-host Shelby Croto, and we will be bringing you the reviews on two very awesome projects. The first, I have to say, I'm completely nerded out, geeked out over this one. It's been a very long time coming for those fans who have been fans of it since it debuted in the 70s. The Halloween series has dropped its latest and I would say greatest effort, titled Halloween. This one is a return to the original storyline. I believe that they focused on just the first two movies, or the first movie, and then this is kind of a continuation of events after those events in Haddonfield. Anyone who knows anything about the Halloween movies, Michael Myers. Come on, people, you know this guy. He is the shape of Haddonfield, evil in man's form, the scariest of all the scary guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you our review of John Carpenter's Halloween. All right, we're going to have the actual music with the editing that's going to come in. We're going to do all kinds of cool stuff. You guys are going to love it. So, as you know, with Amalga Reviews, we generally get into some facts about the project, who made it, who's involved, some of the finer points of the actors and or writers, whatever you want to call it. And then we get into the meat and bones of why we love this thing and why you should love it too. And then we get into your favorite part, our favorite part, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Moving from that, you will get all of the nice tidbits of information, any kind of, obscure facts we can find out. And you get to have Shelby Croto and Ian Wallace all to yourself for a whole 20 minutes of reviewing. How lucky are you guys? Huh? So without further ado, I am going to kick it over to my lovely co-host to give you some facts about the shape of Haddonfield. Shelby?
So, Ian kind of gave you a brief introduction of Halloween. Halloween was directed by David Gordon Green, written by Jeff Friedley, Danny McBride, also David Gordon Green, and obviously we know the characters were written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. Some of the amazing cast members, obviously we know Jamie Lee Curtis, the main, pardon my French, the main bitch.
The queen of Scream.
The queen of Scream. Then we have Judy Greer, which I was surprised to see her in there. Normally I see her in some comedy.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if I butcher this name.
Some romantic comedy.
I probably butchered that last name.
Say it again.
So phenomenal in the movie.
What was it again? I couldn't hear you.
Andy Matichak. It's Maticchak.
Yeah, Matichak sounds like.
Matichak.
Sorry if we butchered your last name. This is our first video review. Bear with us.
English is hard, okay?
Absolutely, especially when you have a scary guy in a mask trying to kill you.
Yeah. And then the two gentlemen that played the Shape, also known as Michael Myers, was James Jude Courtney and Nick Castle. So even though they don't speak, they're the ones going around hacking and slashing. All I can think of is Fallout right now. She's hacking.
Absolutely. So, okay. Generally, we give you the facts of the project, then we jump into our thoughts on the project. I'm going to let Shelby go first, and then I'm going to kind of jump in, and then we will give you our good and bad and ugly, then move on to our next topic. So, without further ado, Shelby, what do you think about this? I mean, how many years in the making? When did the first Halloween movie come out? In the 70s?
Yeah, it was definitely the 70s. Let me go ahead and
I
pull
want
up.
to say between 76 and 78.
Yeah.
But I do know that it's been a long time coming.
1978.
Wow.
Was
Okay.
when the first one came out.
All right. So the year before I was born, actually, was when this movie was produced and created. And let me tell you, from then till now, I have lots of feelings about it. But this isn't about me. Shelby's going first. So Shelby, please let the lovely people know, how do you feel about this revamping of a classic horror film almost 40 years later?
Oh man. So Halloween was probably one of the first horror movies I had ever watched growing up. And at first it gave me nightmares, but then watching it again, I started to grow a love for horror movies. And now I am a complete fanatic for horror movies. So when I heard they were coming out and revamping and doing a new one, I completely lost my mind. I was so ecstatic, especially because Jamie Lee Curtis was coming back in it. I literally would have thrown things if she wasn't going to be in it.
Agreed.
Oh my gosh, it was a phenomenal movie. I mean, one thing I liked about this one was, so I know some of the other ones, I know especially like Rob Zombie's version of Halloween, there was a little bit too much like sex in it and not enough violence. This one, it had the perfect amount of violence in it. I mean, it wouldn't be Michael Myers without pretty much just going on a raging slashing spree. So I thought that was completely amazing. And then the thing that was really cool to me was how the house was set up. How she would like push buttons and close doors behind her and stuff. And it turns out it wasn't to protect herself, it was a trap for him. I completely lost my mind. I thought that was the coolest thing. And I'm hoping that at the end of it, it was kind of a little spoiler towards a segue and possibly to another one. Because if you did watch the movie, at the end of it, it kind of shows the granddaughter holding the knife. And I mean, if they were to make a horror movie with a female slasher, that pardon my French again, I would shit bricks. I would lose my mind because I know that's something that they don't really have a lot, especially in the horror movie industry, is they don't have enough female slashers. I mean, I know in The Devil's Rejects, yeah, they have some kind of female slashers, but I'm like, they don't really have female, the star slashing. So I think that would be really dope. What do you think, Ian?
Me, what do I think? First of all, I'm totally nerding out during this entire review because of this. Halloween is bar none my favorite slasher horror flick of all time. I remember as a kid watching the first one, and I've seen all of them: Jason, Freddy, Candyman, and the like, and all those guys. And they're all really cool, but nobody scared me like Michael Myers did. And the reason I think Michael Myers scared me the most is because he was totally plausible at the time. I lived in a small town in New England, and growing up, the neighborhood is set up a lot like Haddonfield. Like it looks like Haddonfield, especially during the fall. And let me tell you, there's never been a walk home at night from a friend's house or a sojourn from my home to another person's home in the middle of the night where I did not feel those hairs on the back of my neck standing up and look at every creak and turn. And it was all due to Michael Myers because he was the epitome of what you should be afraid of in the dark or in the light or any time. The story behind this character, him being a young boy who obviously was traumatized somehow by witnessing whatever he did throughout his life up until the age of 9, where he killed his sister and I believe his mother, or he killed his sister and
killed his stepfather, his mother, and I think the only one he left alive was his baby sister.
The Laurie, who ended up being Jamie Lee Curtis in the movie. So he killed everyone in the house, or he killed, from what I remember in the movie, he never killed the parents because I remember them being outside, like him walking outside with the mask on and a knife in his hand covered in blood in the clown outfit in the original John Carpenter's movie. And the parents came home and just found him. And he killed the sister and the boyfriend. That's who he killed. It wasn't his mother and father. It was his older sister and her boyfriend. And then the parents come home to find him, and then he goes away to an asylum where he meets Dr. Loomis, and he's obviously sitting in an insane asylum. The mother dies, the father dies off or leaves or whatever. You never hear from those characters again, and then voila, Michael Myers comes back 10, 15 years later to kill his baby sister. It freaked me out that this guy was so quiet and so methodical and moved the way that he did. He was everywhere, he was nowhere. And it just freaked you out to think that someone could be that selfie, that quiet, and that driven just to destroy and kill. So a very scary character. About this movie, I have to say, and I've seen all of the Halloweens. So this was a refreshing break from the let's make Michael Myers into a weapon of mass destruction that's owned by a government and all this other, I just couldn't follow the movies. Let's kill Laurie Strode. Let's kill Laurie Strode off. And it's just let's put this little girl in there and make her, I don't know why we're putting her in there, but let's put her in there. And it's how do you do this to one of the greatest horror slasher guys of all time? It's I was just waiting for a reprieve. And then when I heard Rob Zombie was going to do a revamp, I was like, okay, this might be what we're looking for. This might be some justice. And I watched those and just was like, all right, so what is this, a rock video set to horror theme? What are we doing here? This is just not, this is The Devil's Rejects Part 3.0. What are we doing? And it just really didn't ring true or at all feel like Halloween. I will say that it was awesome to see Michael Myers in that kind of nuanced, newer, revamped kind of thing, but not the way they did him no justice. And even though the movies weren't horrible, they were bad, and I don't recommend wasting your time on them. Definitely check this one out, though. If you're a fan of Halloween and you want to see some writing, directing, casting that complements the first movies and independently of its own, is a great story, great cinematography, absolutely great direction. I was so immersed in the movie as it was kind of going on. So I have to say, check this version of the movie out. You'll be doing yourself a justice as a Halloween fan. Now, your favorite part of the show, our favorite part of the show, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What do we do here? Well, first of all, we give you one thing that we both think is good, one thing that we both think is bad, and one thing that we both think is ugly about the movie, and therefore it should be your guide to whether or not you're going to spend your money on Redbox to rent it or buy it in Walmart or wherever it is you do your shopping. So we're going to start with the good. Everything plus Jamie Lee Curtis. The whole movie was a great project. There's so much good. It's easier just to pick out the few things that might have been off for some fans than it is to pick out the greatness, because it really is just a great movie. And I have to piggyback off Shelby. That house trap and that final standoff between Laurie and Michael was equivalent to what I imagine people felt going to see Muhammad Ali versus Frazier the first time. It was just you wanted to see this. You wanted to see, this is a showdown you needed. It wasn't so much about, the climax to more horror and gore and know. This was like, dude, Lori is going after her. She wanted Michael to come after her in this movie, and you could see it. She was just like cool, calm, collected, matter of fact, like, all right, dude, please show up here with your knife. Please show please show up to this house with your knife. And it was just awesome. So for me, the good is everything about the film, excellent directing, excellent casting, excellent everything, plus Jamie Lee Curtis. Shelby?
I mean, pretty much what Ian said. I'm like, the entire movie was beautifully done. I think one of my favorite scenes in the movie that I have to mention was one of the first scenes when the journalists go in there and just hold up the
mask. Oh my God. Didn't that freak you out?
In the prison just started freaking out. Like you could feel
the inmates. Yeah.
Chills down my spine during that part. I was like, oh my gosh, I can feel it through the screen. It was like a powerful moment, just holding up the mask. And
agreed. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, but it was part of the promos. We already know. So you already saw it. Doesn't matter. If you watch the movie, like Shelby said, you can actually feel that eerie, like you just know that everything starts from that moment. When this guy pulls out the mask and shows it to Michael, and he kind of cocks his head back like this and doesn't really pay attention, but knows, it just, you know it's on like Orville Redenbacher popcorn at that moment. So
it's just the much history in it. Like,
yeah,
other movies, you're like, it symbolizes so much.
You can feel the tension.
So
you can
much.
actually feel the build up from, and that's what I think kind of ends it as this as the showdown at the end. But yeah, it builds up from that moment. The bad. That it was only an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 20 minutes. I think maybe that was how long was the movie for? Like it was like
actually it was an hour and like 45 minutes.
Okay, so that to me was the only bad part of it, that it was only an hour and 45 minutes. I could have done with an extra 20 minutes of Michael Myers killing people. I can't think of anything else that was wrong with this film. I could really try like to sit here and pick apart little stupid plot devices and whatever else, but I mean it had throwback characters from the original. It had great writing. It had great directing, great cinematography. The only thing bad about this film is that I've only watched it 74 times since it came out. So I don't know what else to tell you about bad about it. It's just a great film altogether. So I have nothing on the bad. Shelby?
The only bad thing I have is that it took me until last night to finally watch it. That was the only bad. There was no reason except me not going and seeing it. And then finally, I watched it last night, and I'm like, why haven't I watched this before? And now I've seen it a billion more times.
And The Ugly, honestly, the only thing was I was a little confused about the daughter. Is she going to be the next Michael Myers? If so, can we hurry up and make that happen? We're ready. The fans are ready. It would have been nice to have a little, like I said, a little more lengthy of a story, being that you're revisiting from 40 years ago. I think a 2-hour movie would not have killed us. I honestly believe that a 2-hour movie of this magnitude for these characters would not have killed us. A little more topless tweeners or co-eds or whatever. Maybe some more blood and gore, big kitchen knives. I don't know. 15 more minutes of this movie would not have killed me. I think that they kind of cut it short. I think that they were kind of looking to make it a little more solidified in doing so, and I'm not mad at that, but you could have made this movie longer and I would have been fine. As a fan, I would have been fine with it. So the ugly part to me is just, again, the length. I needed more Michael Myers for what this project was. Give me more Michael Myers in this particular genre. Give it to me. Other than that, I don't have anything else for the ugly. Shelby, over to you.
I mean, I pretty much agree. Specifically, I wish that the end scene was more longer. I'm like, I wanted
between the two showdown, right?
Oh yeah, I wanted to see like go even longer. And then I know there was one part towards the end where I know the granddaughter had ran into the forest.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why didn't he chase after her? Because I'm like, I thought that would have been a really cool thing, trying to watch him go through the forest and creep up on her and stuff like that. I thought that would have been really cool. but what they did with the whole police car thing, I thought that was really good. And I have to say, I hated the granddaughter's dad. I was happy to see him go. He was such a douche.
Was he? Oh my God, he was so annoying throughout the whole movie. That's actually, I can't even say that's bad. That's actually a good thing that he was killed off. So that kind of goes in the good column. I don't know.
And then I agree. I'm like, is this a segue into maybe her like going into this? And then I'm like, I know at the very end of it, like the whole time he was standing on that staircase, but then when it shows the house up in flames, you don't see him at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so is he dead? There was really no way for him to escape. And I'm like, so I either wanted to see him like burning up into complete flames or something, or see him get away. I just think I needed a more conclusive or solid ending, but I do like how they kept it open.
Absolutely, and that's Halloween for you. They never close off those movies indefinitely, and that's awesome because you just don't know where it's going to go next. So we're ready. Come October, please give us give us something to talk about. So that does it for our Halloween review. We are moving on to the second part of our review, and probably another very awesome thing for any nerd who is nerding out with us during this Amalgam review.